Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Katko, members of the committee, and my fellow panelists. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. ADL is the oldest anti-hate organization in America, and it's an honor to appear before you this morning to address the threat of extremism and terror in the homeland. Since 1913, ADL has worked to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment to all. We have a world-class team, including analysts and experts and investigators who track extremist threats and have been doing so for decades, monitoring threats from all sides. But let's be clear, violent domestic extremism is on the rise and it threatens all of our communities. And the Jewish community continues to be a primary target of extremists across the ideological spectrum. Just 2 weeks ago in Colleyville, Texas, an Islamist-inspired terrorist fueled by anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Jewish power traveled thousands of miles to take 4 people hostage at gunpoint in a synagogue during a Shabbat service in an attempt to free an Al-Qaeda operative who herself espoused incredibly hateful views about Jews in her public trial. The crisis in Colleyville was a painful reminder that the threat to the Jewish community in America remains significant and lethal. In fact, ADL has recorded a 115% increase in anti-Semitic incidents from 2015 to 2020. That's an alarming spike. But the data obscures the human toll. I'm talking about thousands of acts of hateful anti-Jewish harassment, of ugly anti-Semitic vandalism on synagogues, on schools, on homes. Hundreds of acts, brutal acts of assault against Jewish people, and at least 18 anti-Semitic murders that devastated families, shattered communities, and stunned the country. From Pittsburgh to Poway to Orange County to Jersey City to Muncie, New York, the human toll is considerable. And in a country riven by political differences, I'm sad to report that anti-Semitism knows no partisan bounds. As I've told this committee in previous hearings, neither side of the spectrum is exempt from intolerance nor above anti-Semitism. Politicizing the oldest hatred is a tool that we regrettably see from politicians on both sides, and it needs to stop. At ADL, we're particularly troubled by the rise of domestic violent extremism, including, as Nick mentioned, white supremacists, armed militia groups, accelerationists, QAnon enthusiasts, sovereign citizens, and others who demonize the Jewish people. Some of these actors, they trumpet the replacement theory that posits that a cabal of Jews are seeking to commit white genocide. It's frightening to think that this concept has been mainstreamed in recent years, yet some prominent conservative voices continue to make outlandish, grotesque claims that suggest that Jewish philanthropists are seeking to flood America with migrants, not true, or other bewildering charges. From Charlottesville to Capitol Hill, there's a through line, and it's played out with deadly results. And at ADL, we're also troubled by the rise of hateful anti-Israel forces that demonize the only Jewish state in the world. From pro-Iranian outlets spreading slanderous lies on social media, to self-described activist groups targeting Jews in public places, to NGOs like Amnesty International issuing reports making wild, incendiary accusations against the Jewish state, accusing it of apartheid or genocide, deeming it illegitimate. It is frightening to think that these concepts also have been mainstreamed in recent years, as some so-called progressive voices make outlandish, grotesque claims that suggest that Zionists are seeking to enslave the Palestinian people, not true, or other bewildering charges. From Times Square to Colleyville, there's a through line, and it's played out with terrifying results. So we can and we must do more to prevent these kinds of tragedies from happening again. When I had the honor of appearing before you last year, I called for an all-in government approach, and a whole of society strategy to combating domestic extremism. We've made real progress since then, but much more needs to be done to meet the moment. So with that in mind, I again respectfully call on Congress to take meaningful action to combat extremism in a domestic context. This should start by adopting the principles of PROTECT, ADL's comprehensive 7-point plan to mitigate the threat posed by domestic terrorism while protecting civil liberties and staying true to American freedoms and values. Our recommendations include passing the Bipartisan Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, ending the complicity of social media services in facilitating extremism and hate, creating an independent clearinghouse for online extremist content, and doubling the funding for the nonprofit security grant program. You see, people should not be risking their lives when they choose to worship in a synagogue or shop in a kosher supermarket or simply live openly as Jews in America. So yes, we need safety through security, and DHS grants can help. But we also need safety through solidarity. We can never build walls that are high enough or secure our networks tightly enough to ward out all evil. This is why we need all of you and public figures to call out hate whenever it happens, regardless of the source, and why we hope other communities will stand with the Jewish community as we've sought to rally by their side in the face of racism and intolerance leveled in their direction. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.